Hi there, my name's Cathi Barker from Software Solutions, and you're looking at the first of a collection of videos that introduce you to Microsoft Excel. These videos go with my The Essentials course, which is my level 1 course, which doesn't mean it's easy, it just means that this information is essential to anybody who uses Excel. So whether you're self-taught or whether you're new to Excel, you'll learn a lot from these videos. So please join me on this journey as we learn Excel. I'm going to start with the screen. Now, when I look at the screen that I have in front of me here, the first thing I want to acknowledge is right at the top we have what's called the title bar. Now, mine has got a white background and yours may not, and that's rather confusing. The first thing I need to show you is something called Office Themes. Now, Office Themes affect the way that the screen looks in terms of color. Let's go into File, let's go into Options, and here you'll see here Office Theme. Now yours is most likely on Colourful, which is an option in this drop down. If I choose Colourful and go OK, then I literally have a green sort of a top and a grey sort of a bottom to my Excel screen. I think that the green actually makes it really difficult to decipher or differentiate the buttons that appear in the QuickAccess Toolbar. So for that reason, I'm going to change my Office theme by going back to File, going back to Options, and personally I prefer white. But some people like dark grey, for example. If I choose dark grey and go OK, dark grey is quite good because some people find that white is just like looking at snow all day. It gets quite intense on the eyes. So grey is an option, but for this series of videos, I actually will have the white Office theme. So I'm going File, I'm going Options, I'm going back to Office theme, and I'm changing it to white and OK. So you choose a theme that you're comfortable with, but acknowledge the fact that I think white is the better one because you actually can see the buttons in what we call the QuickAccess Toolbar nice and clearly. Now the other thing that we need to just get sorted is your QuickAccess Toolbar, which is the name of this thing in the top left corner, may not be in the top left corner. And that is because if you click this button on the end of it called Customise QuickAccess Toolbar, you have the option at the bottom of this menu to show the QuickAccess Toolbar below the ribbon. So yours may actually be sitting down here. You have the option to click it again and show it above the ribbon. So again, not only decide on the Office theme you would like, but decide on where you'd like to position your QuickAccess Toolbar. For this particular session, I'm going to actually show it below the ribbon. So my point is you can't get rid of it, and you can only place it in one of two places, either above or below what they call the ribbon, which is that big panel going across the top of your screen. Now another thing is the QuickAccess Toolbar may look a little bit odd and maybe you don't even have a Customise button. If that's the case, then I suspect that over here on the right hand side is a button that looks like a trumpet, and it's called Upcoming Features, and you're actually trying or using the upcoming new features, and I probably turn that off. If you click the trumpet, you have the option here, if I scroll down this list, to try the new experience. And if this is turned on, then your QuickAccess Toolbar is not going to have a Customise button. So make sure you turn the new experience off and then shut down Excel, start Excel again, and you'll be able to customize and move your QuickAccess Toolbar. So little things like that can be really unsettling when you're first starting with Excel. Let me just close this little panel here. Okay, so we get our theme sorted, we get our position of the QuickAccess Toolbar sorted, and we turn off the new experience if it's on. Now let's get started with the screen. Starting at the very top, so this is called the title bar. Now the title bar tells you the name of the file that you're currently looking at. So I'm looking at book 1. But if I save this file with a different name, whatever the name of the file is will always appear at the top of your screen in what they call the title bar. Now this is what they call the ribbon. Now the ribbon, you can hide it and show it, and you may hide it by accident. A lot of people sort of get curious and they go, oh, What's that little up V on the right hand side? So they click it, which collapses the ribbon. The trouble is there's no little down V to get the ribbon back, so then they panic. And turning the machine off and on doesn't bring it back. So if you lose your ribbon for whatever reason, I think the easiest way to get it back is to double click home. If you double click home, you'll get your ribbon back. If you double click home, you'll also lose your ribbon. So if you, and this is not Excel, this is every Microsoft Office application. If you double click one of these ribbon tabs, not just home, you will actually show and hide your ribbon. So double click and show your ribbon, and as far as what tab you're in on the ribbon, it'll have a little green line under it. So I'm currently on home, but if I click insert, insert's got a little green line under it. Now draw's got a little green line under it. So these are called ribbon tabs: home, insert, drawer, page layout. But I'm going to go back to the home tab in my ribbon. So I hope that starts to make sense. We've got to get used to the language. We really can't understand anything that we Google or anything that we read if we don't understand what things are called. Okay, so title bar at the top, tick. Ribbon, big panel going across the top here. You can hide it and you can show it. Now the Quick Access Toolbar, which we moved below the ribbon. The Quick Access Toolbar, well, it's all in the name. It's supposed to give you quick access to stuff you use regularly. So we regularly save, so it gives us a save button so we can quickly save our file. We regularly undo. Doesn't matter how clever you get, you always need undo. So that's quick access to common things, but we need a lot of other things that we want quick access to. So I'm going to take you into this Customise button. And here you can see only 4 things are ticked. And that's why only 4 things are showing. But if I turn on New, just by clicking it, I now have another button. And this button, if I was to click it, would give me quick access to creating a new document. That would be quicker than me going File, New, Blank Workbook, whenever I needed a new file. Now the other thing I want to do is go back into Customise and turn on Open. If I want to quickly open a file I was working on yesterday or the day before, I just click that button instead of going File, Open, which takes longer. Let's go back into the Customise button. I'd like to turn on Email. If someone says to you, can you email me that spreadsheet? Well, one click of this button will open up a new email with this file attached, and you just say who you want to send it to. Really quick to be able to email a file to somebody instead of going File, Export, no, it's not that one, Share, Email, send as an attachment. A lot more clicking. So the Quick Access Toolbar gives you quick access to things that you use regularly. Let's go back in and turn on, not Quick Print. Quick Print's a little bit dangerous, I think, when you're first starting, because what that button will do is straight away send one copy of the spreadsheet straight to the printer, and then you're wondering which printer did it go to. So I'd rather you dodge that one and turn on Print Preview. If spelling is not your superpower, turn on the spelling button. If we go back in, we can turn on Sort Ascending. I'd also like you to turn on Sort Descending. And really, for now, those are the buttons that I'd like to select from that list. So we don't have to turn them all on. But you can see you've got a lot more buttons now added to your Quick Access Toolbar. But there's a couple more buttons that I really think we need to add. I think you'd agree, if you've been using Excel for a little while, that one of the buttons we use a lot is Save As. We often want to save a file as version 1, version 2, or October or November. So let's go into More Commands. We haven't explored this option. If we go into More Commands, these are all what Microsoft consider the popular commands. And if I scroll down to the S's, that is where Save As will be hanging out. If I click on Save As and click Add, it adds it to my Quick Access Toolbar, but it puts it at the bottom, and I really need to organize these buttons because this Quick Access Toolbar gets busy in a very short amount of time. So if I now, with that Save As chosen, click this Move Up button, I can move this button up and put it with my other save buttons. If I go too far, as I've just done, I can move it down. And so I'll put the Save As button underneath the Save button. Now another button that I think is really useful is not only do we like to email as an Excel file, but we increasingly like to email a spreadsheet as a PDF file. Now Microsoft don't deem this as popular, so it's not in the E section of the popular commands. So if what you're looking for is not under popular commands, then change popular commands up here to all commands. If I click all commands and then just give it a second to wake up, there you go. I can now scroll down. Look how huge this list is. I can scroll down to the E's. You can even click in here and press E. I'm just taking my time so you can see what I'm up to. But I'm looking for email as a PDF. Email as a PDF attachment. So that is a super handy button to have alongside of your email button, which you already have the email button, but you don't have the email as a PDF attachment. I'm going to click this. I'm going to click Add. I'm going to move it down in my case and put it under email. So my two emails are together and all my saves are together. Have a look in here. Have a look at what buttons you think might be quite useful. Add them to your QuickAccess Toolbar. Move them up and down if they're not in an order that makes sense to you. And even remove them if you decide you don't want them. When I click OK, those changes such as Save As and Email as a PDF attachment have been added to my QuickAccess Toolbar. You can easily go back into here and back into more commands to control your QuickAccess Toolbar. And in fact, at the end of every level 1 course, I actually reset the QuickAccess Toolbar ready for my next group of newbies. So I always hit the reset button and I reset it back to the defaults. It's like factory settings. So have a look at your QuickAccess Toolbar, really important. I'm just going to go cancel there. Okay, title bar at the top, ribbon next, QuickAccess Toolbar next. All of that stuff is pretty much standard across all Microsoft Office applications. Now we get unique to Excel. What we have here, if I rest my mouse just above column letters D, E, and F, is what we call the formula bar. And the formula bar will earn its name when we get into formulas. It will help us view and edit formulas. At this stage, all I'd want to draw attention to is the name box, which is to the left of the formula bar. The name box tells me the name of the cell I'm sitting in. So it tells me I'm sitting in A1. I can see that column A is sort of grayish and row 1 is sort of grayish. So columns like Roman columns are vertical and rows, just like rowing, are horizontal. These are rows, these are columns. Don't get the two confused. As I click around what looks like mass paper, I'm now in D7. If I click here, I'm now in F13. And now I'm in H18. So if you ever played that game Battleships when you were a kid and you were trying to suss out where the other person's submarines or destroyers were, and we used to use coordinates for that game, maybe I'm showing my age, you use coordinates in Excel. It's the column letter and the row number. But what I think we really need to appreciate is how many columns do we actually have and how many rows do we actually have. Now there's a key combination that I hope you will adopt and use a lot in Excel. I actually use it a lot in Excel and Word and Outlook, all of the Office products. And that's the Control arrow keys. Now I'm going to hold the Control key because it's a passive key. Nothing happens when you hold the Control key. It's only when you combine the Control key with something else that the magic happens. So I'm going to go Control right arrow and it will take me to the last column. So the last column isn't Z and it's not ZZ. It's more than that, but it's not ZZZ. It's less than that. It's XFD. And if I go Control left arrow, column A, Control right arrow, XFD. XFD translates into 16,384 columns. It's concrete. You can't increase that. If you needed 17,000 columns, though I'd wonder why. And you can't reduce it. It just is that size paper. So you have 16,384 columns, and control right and left arrow is a quick way to hit those extremities. Because there's no data on the sheet, that's why it's hitting the extremities. What we're going to learn later as we go through this journey of Excel is once we've got data in the spreadsheet, it's going to be hitting key points in the data, but at the moment it's hitting the extremities. Excuse me. Now, if you can go control left and right arrow, then logically, which is what computers are all about, you should be able to go control down arrow and hit the last row. If I hit control down arrow, I've hit 1,048,576 rows. Again in concrete, you can't up that to 2 million and you can't take it down to 500,000. The number of rows and the number of columns is just the size of effectively the electronic piece of math paper you have in front of you. So control up arrow, back up to the top again. So that's your columns and that's your rows. Let's move further down the screen. At the bottom of the screen you can see sheet 1, and to the right of that is a little circle and a little plus, and if I click that, that's how I insert a new sheet. Now I've got sheet 2. If I click it again, sheet 3, sheet 4, sheet 5 and sheet 6. In this particular version of Excel, there's no limit to the number of sheets you can have in a file, so it's unlimited. Excuse me. Sorry, I just had to take a drink. So the number of sheets that you can have in a Excel workbook, in this case book 1 at the top of our screen, is unlimited. And I've got 6 sheets at this stage. Okay, and this is the button that you click purely to insert sheets. Now below the sheets is a part of the screen they call the status bar. And that for me is this green area. Of course, yours may not be green if you chose a different office theme. But the status bar on the left-hand side basically tells me it's ready. It's ready for me. That's the status. It's not calculating anything or analyzing anything or connecting or loading anything. It's ready for me to do what I need to do. And on the right hand side of the status bar is a plus that I can click to zoom in and make things larger. So if you're having trouble seeing, zoom in, or a minus to zoom out. In fact, if I drag the slider, I can zoom up to 400%, 4 times the normal size. And if I drag it down or hit the minus, I can take it down to 10%. And if I click the midway point, I can take it to, well, in my case 98, so I'll just bump it up to 100%. So you've got a zoom control on the right hand side. You've got a slider plus a percentage. You can actually click that percentage and you can set exactly what percentage you want. But most people just hit the plus and the minus to zoom in and zoom out. Me, I actually prefer, if you've got a mouse with a wheel, I prefer to hold the control key and move my mouse wheel forward. And that zooms in, and I can zoom in and zoom in. And if I keep my control key down and wheel backwards, I can zoom out. So I actually prefer to zoom in and zoom out just by holding the control key and using my mouse wheel forward and backwards. And why I like that is because it works literally anywhere. If you're on the internet and you can't quite see something, hold the control key, wheel forward and zoom in. If someone emails you something, like I often get emails with a picture saying I'm getting this error message, often I can't see the picture because they've made it too small, but I hold the control key and I wheel in and it makes it that little bit larger that I can decipher the picture. So if you can't quite see something, doesn't matter whether it's in an email, Word document, PDF file, the internet, wherever, hold the control key and wheel forward or wheel back. It's actually an argument to always buy a mouse with a wheel. The other thing I like about the wheel is if you're a person who uses the snipping tool, often I want to snip something and it doesn't quite fit on my laptop or my notebook screen. So I actually have to take 2 snips and try and butt them up. But if you actually control wheeled in and made your screen smaller, you'd be able to take 1 snip of the entire image and then increase your resolution and resize the picture to a decent size without having to juggle 2 or 3 snips. It's got a lot of applications. Try to use your control wheel on your mouse. If you've got a mouse with a wheel, you won't go back. It's brilliant. Okay, so you'll see me using the control and the wheel quite a bit as I'm teaching, so you can clearly see what I'm up to. But really the last thing I want to say about that status bar is you can actually customize it. If you right click the status bar, there are options you can turn on and turn off. So for example, I can see caps lock, these two options are turned on, they're not ticked. So if I click caps lock, I can now, and click num lock, I can now see a little option here telling me my num lock is on. But I can't see caps lock, which means my caps lock is off. I also want to tick average count. In fact, what I would encourage you to do is anything that's not ticked, tick it. Tick all the options, even if you don't know what they mean, because you'll eventually learn what they mean. But you need to be able to get access to them. And so by ticking all these options, they will become available to you on your status bar when you're in the right context. So let me show you about how these ones work. For example, average count, numerical count, min, max, and sum, if you're in the right context. So to be in the right context, I'm going to go to say B2 and say I type lucky number 13 and then under that legs 11 and then I say 6 and then I might go 5.5 and I'm just chucking some random numbers in 19, 85, 26 and 34. Someone rings you up and says, have you got all those figures? And you go, yes. And they go, well, what do they come to? You don't have to put a formula in. All you have to do is highlight them. If you drag from the first one down to the last one, and the first one never goes white, so don't panic about that. That's what they call the active cell, and that makes sense once you start coding. But just select the group of numbers, and now look at the bottom of your screen. Because you turned on sum, it tells me the sum of the selected cells is 199.5. The largest value is 85. The smallest or minimum value is 5.5. The number of numbers is 8 and the number of items is 8. And they average 24.9375. So imagine this was a collection of ages. Your oldest person is 85, your youngest person is 5.5, the average age is 24.9, and there are 8 entries so far, and they total up to 199.5 years. If I only selected the first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's only going to sum, find the largest, find the smallest, count how many there are, and find the average of the selected cells. So things like that are really handy. If I'm just wanting to quickly double check something, I just highlight the cells now, look at the bottom of my screen, and it gives me these answers. Now you may be saying to yourself, do I have to turn those on every time I start Excel? Do I have to move the QuickAccess Toolbar and customize it every time I start Excel? The answer is no, unless something funny is going on. But no, once you customize your QuickAccess Toolbar, that's how it should stay. And once you've customized your status bar, ticked all those options and turned them on, that's how it should stay. So you only have to set this up once and you've basically customized your screen. And the same with the Office theme as well. So spend some time deciding on your Office theme. Turn off the new experience if that's turned on, because that's not helping you. Move your QuickAccess Toolbar and customize it. Decide buttons that you like. Right click the status bar, tick all the options. And just get your screen set up, ready to roll. And I'll see you on the next video and we'll start exploring the magic of Excel.